Hello there and welcome to my Symmetra tutorial. I plan to take you through different Symmetra tactics until you master the character. I will be using different accounts through each tutorial, so please do not attempt to message me in game. I don't actually like making friends or meeting new people, and I do not want to take donations, so please don't post any flaming or comments trying to get my attention or any flirting. I'm not really interested in that. Yeah, so if you have different tactics that may work better, or you have different comments on what you think I could do better or should have done during the course of any of these tutorials, please go ahead and post in the comments since we're all here to learn. This is the first tutorial which will work to cover the basics that I use to play Symmetra, so I hope you find this very useful. One of the first things you need to learn is Symmetra's shields and what exactly they mean. Shields in Overwatch do not reduce damage, but they do regenerate 30 points per second if no damage is taken for 3 seconds. This is why she is categorized as a healer. Like how Mei is a half tank, Symmetra is definitely a half healer. This means if your team understands what shields mean, you do not need a secondary healer with Symmetra. You may need to explain this at the beginning of the match and make sure everyone understands that if they run around the corner for 3 seconds and then run back for 3 seconds, their shields will have regenerated and they will have recovered the health that they lost. So this is why she's actually a healer. Next, your key bindings need to change if you are intending to play a Symmetra main. The typical way I've seen most players use turrets is by pressing the shift button followed by the left mouse click. However, you will find it is much more efficient to use an RTS mouse and adjust your key bindings to dual bind commands. In this first example, I'm doing the normal option of pressing shift, picking out an area to place the turret, and then left clicking. This burns precious time. With the RTS mouse, I have set commands to place 1, 2, or 6 turrets with a single button press. The shift is activated and instantly followed by the left click in a smooth order. This means turrets are now placed quick and smooth with a single button press. This means I can now place turrets immediately while running through a room or higher than where they would ordinarily be. Now watch how I quickly place 2 turrets. 1, 2. Each turret is extremely smooth from one to the next without losing precious time. Lastly, 6 turrets smoothly when I have little time to work, such as holding a point or being pursued. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Each go very smooth. 1 or 2 turret drops are typical. A 6th drop is only in times of panic and usually means you're about to sacrifice yourself for your team. Next, you need to be extremely familiar with the different types of attacks your actual character can perform. She is the most varied character, and that actually makes her the most versatile. She is much more than a one-pump chump. Her charge shot is pretty critical and extremely powerful. Think of it as a Reinhardt fire strike that does more damage and recovers in a shorter amount of time. So once you think of it in this way, your gameplay will improve, and so you can see how much health one charge shot actually takes away from this dummy here. Symmetra's melee attack usually goes forgotten. It deals 1 bar of damage, and if you're fighting multiple targets, you may choose to conserve as much energy as possible. Do not attempt to reload in mid-combat with multiple targets because you are dead already. You may need to occasionally punch in combat with many targets to conserve as much as possible so you will live longer. Symmetra's beam attack is the most notable cancer. You do not need to aim, but be aware of what enemies you are facing. Each enemy will require different movements and distance for optimal survivability, but we'll go over those characters in a different tutorial. What is really important is getting a feel for the duration of each beam or charge attack to understand how much energy you have burned through before you must reload. Getting good timing or intuition for the amount of ammo you have remaining will prevent you from being defenseless at the worst times. Symmetra's last attack style is a burst attack, and it is the most underutilized attack capability. Each tiny orb does a small amount of damage, but it can accumulate to something extremely painful. Peppering this attack on your opponent will mean they have little room to dodge, and it will keep them under constant pressure. This is very instrumental to control enemy movement, and I'll go ahead and demonstrate this several times in future tutorials as an example. The teleporter and the shield generator are not only incredibly useful ults, but also keep in mind placing them may mean a 7th target on the field. It means that one enemy peeling away to attack this target may create a 6 versus 5 scenario, or if used in an obvious location, your enemies must choose between killing your ult or a teammate. Symmetra's charge builds quickly if you're playing her correctly, so do not stress over losing it. Lastly, you are going to want to get skilled at playing Symmetra's counters so you get familiar with different playstyles and movements that your opponents make. This is because you need to understand how they are traveling through a room to decide optimal turret placement. For example, if I'm imagining a Reaper or McCree, this room has one doorway leading to another. This will cause the player's eyes and mouse to drift to the right as they enter. This makes the immediate left of the entrance the last thing they look at in the room, so putting 1 or 2 turrets in the corner will be the best choice. It also means that corner will be a safe place to hide if you need to. There we go. Keep in mind, regardless of the number of turrets, the sound effects for the beams remain the same. So without directly looking at the turret, the player cannot immediately tell if they're getting attacked by one turret or several. So because of this, turret placement needs to also control where your opponent is looking. 2 turrets placed in the corner will sound like 1 turret. So let's go ahead and put a second turret in that place. There we go. Alrighty, there we go. A turret in the right corner will make the room a little bit more dangerous, but it will be in an obvious position. So we're going to place a turret directly visible when entering the room, and that will be the first thing your opponent sees on entry. See? The turret in the right corner will be second in your enemy's vision, so it will be destroyed next. After the second turret is destroyed, your opponent will finally realize he is still taking damage and either die or turn around. If he manages to survive, you will be free to finish him off by either running back into the room, or if you hide in the corner, it will be safe to attack after the second turret is gone. Not before, you're basically going to get roasted, depending on who you're playing against. This concludes the first basic Symmetra tutorial. There will be more to come, which will involve how to tackle different opponents along with attack and defense on each map and situational suggestions. If you have any suggestions, input, or questions, please let me know in the comments and I will be happy to follow up with you. Thanks for watching and check out part 2 when it is available.